Most women don't miss the signs. They just don't realize what they're seeing. There's a moment a lot of us can point to where something in our body just said, no more. But when you really look back, it didn't start there. It started with the small things, the tension you ignored, the exhaustion you pushed through, the emotions you didn't have time to feel, the things you thought you had to fix. And over time, your body kept adapting, holding, compensating, trying to keep you functioning, even when your nervous system didn't feel safe, until it couldn't anymore. Today, we're talking about that, about what happens when the nervous system is ignored and how that eventually shows up in the body.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Not the breaking point, but everything that led up to it. Because most of the time, your body was speaking long before you ever had to stop and listen. So this is a good one, Marva. I'm excited.
Me too. I'm an expert at this one.
I know. And I think this is where it becomes really real because you've actually lived this.
Yes.
I've lived it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we've talked about before how you had this longstanding injury.
Yes.
And how long you've been dealing with it.
Yes.
But I don't think that we've ever spent time talking about the moment you realized it wasn't just physical.
So just for the people that don't understand this out there, Chrissie, you do like a quick explanation of when you say the nervous system and not feeling safe within yourself, your own nervous system. They had zero clue until I started to go through this journey. And obviously, like I said, I'm an expert, but I can't explain it. So,
well, okay. So what does your nervous system feel like inside your body?
So it's basically your emotions, your temperature, your ability to sleep. And when I'm not feeling well, I can't sleep. I'm, scattered. My thoughts are scattered and I just feel a burning in my spine.
You actually get the burning?
Yes, I actually get a burning in my spine all the way to the back of my head when my nervous system is acting up. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's very physical.
Yes.
Yes.
So when we talk about the nervous system, we are talking about the central spinal cord. That cord that's encased in your spine all the way down,
right,
has all of these nerves that branch out and innervate every muscle, every organ, everything in your body. So it's the brain. It tells the body what to feel. And when the nervous system is what I call dysregulated, when it's not in its most efficient state, it basically puts your body into a little bit of fight or flight. It can feel like a little humming, right? It feels like I have a little bit of anxiety.
Yeah.
It can feel like I can't exhale. I can't relax. And then that leads to not being able to sleep, which leads to your hormones being the fatigue, the tired, the not being able to process your emotions. I wanted to do this episode because I want to roll it back to being able to identify being safe within yourself first before we start looking for all these external things to help fix whatever we're feeling.
Right.
Is that good?
I think so. And for me, it started, I thought, with an injury 14 years ago with my hysterectomy. And it wasn't until I started, physical therapy with you and we started talking about the emotional body, how it affects the physical, the nervous system, that I thought that's connected. And I had no clue that things that had happened to me 20 years prior, physical and emotional, were finally coming out in my physical body and they weren't going away. There was no more ignoring it.
When did that shift happen for you? Did you really start being able to connect it to how you're feeling in your body?
I want to say it was about 2 years into therapy with you, because the first 2, I was in so much physical pain. I just couldn't hear you. I couldn't hear anything. I wanted the physical pain to stop. And when the physical pain got bearable or gave me a break for a week, I would start to remember everything that we would talk about and how, a lot of things would come up during therapy. And a lot of it was emotional pain. And I had zero idea that there was a connection. And when I did start to really think about it and just go deep, I realized, oh my God, it is connected to this event that was very traumatic in my life, that was very difficult. And yeah, that's when this body part started to hurt and go out. But, I just thought it'll heal, it'll go away.
I think most of us, you have a pain, an injury, you address it in the physical and you move on.
Exactly.
When people come in, I always ask them, what was happening in your life around the time that this happened? And there's always a correlation.
Yes.
It might not even be a big thing,
right,
but it was just the click that tipped you over the edge.
Right.
Your nervous system couldn't regulate, and it goes into the physical body. And yes, once it's in the physical body, it's not going anywhere.
Right.
I often tell people when they're working through their pain, especially long-standing pain, that when you heal, it goes back the same path it came. So it makes sense that you say, I had to deal with the physical pain, just pain, because you'd gotten 14 years. That's a long time.
Yeah.
Right. And as it traveled back, then you could see it differently. And then even now, talk about where you're at now with it, because Marv has the highest body awareness sense I've almost ever seen in a non-practitioner. She can come in and tell me exactly where it's at, exactly what it is, and the entire line of tension, where it's connected to, all the way down to her toes.
Yeah.
And she's worked so much that she can identify that. Right. And we can really get into it. And then I just help the body speak so she can continue to process whatever's left. How is it different now that you can regulate your own nervous system?
I think I've said this to you a few times recently. It feels so surface now. It doesn't feel like this deep pain that I cannot even tell you where it's starting, where it's ending, which is how I was when I met you. It was just this like overall pain in my spine. I couldn't identify where it began, where it ended. And now I can literally say, oh, wow, I feel this here. It's so at the surface. Let me just do some breathing. Let me just calm myself down. I've just learned so many techniques, not only for my physical body, but for my emotional body. And usually now, if I just start breathing and relaxing, or I do some of the things that help me feel better, like grounding myself to the earth, the pain subsides now because it's so at the surface. Before, it was just so deep in every way, physically and emotionally.
It's like now you can almost catch it before it settles into the body.
And I do now.
And takes up space in the body.
Yes.
It's like it's coming in, it's telling you, and you can actually process the emotion so that it doesn't store in the body, which will eventually lead to physical pain.
And now I ask myself, wait, is this physical? Is this emotional? Or is it a little bit of both? So I work on both. I'll massage it wherever it is. Right. I'll stretch it out.
Oh, and I don't mean that like you can completely heal an actual physical injury.
Right. No, this is what, a decade out, with a lot of therapy, a lot of physical therapy, and obviously a lot of healing of my physical body, like the nerves in my nervous system were actually damaged. So I've healed my physical body, but I never worked on my emotional body. So that's what I've been working on, as well as the physical body. Basically, I realized you have to work on both. That it's not that one thing does affect the other, and you can't just fix one and the other one will just go away. It doesn't work like that. I didn't know that. But my physical pain now is so surface that I can feel where it is, and I'll work on that. And if it just keeps nagging at me, then I can now say, I think this is emotional. And then I do what I need to do to feel emotionally better and safer. And, some of it is praying. Some of it is grounding myself to the earth. Some of it is my breathing. Sometimes I hold my breath for so long in my body that I actually feel pain. And then when I start to breathe, when you tell me you're not even breathing, I think, oh my gosh, I'm not breathing. And I breathe and I feel better. And so for me, it's been a long journey. I'm not saying this was easy. This was really hard. And I'm still going through it.
I don't think that once you start doing your work in this way, it never ends.
No,
it's always a process because things are always going to come up. And I don't think that life doesn't automatically get like easy.
No, it's absolutely just, not.
You have higher capacity and more tools so that you don't go down.
Yes.
That's what's so interesting, because I think a lot of people think that something just happens. And then that's the point they fall apart. But it doesn't, it builds. And it's not a bad thing. Like, oh, I didn't realize that when this event happened when I was 20 or 9, it was going to lead to this giant, horrible thing when I'm 40 or whatever.
Yeah.
And part of the reason for the episode is just to bring a little bit more awareness so we can start wherever we're at. Wherever you're at today is where we want to start.
Right.
And I would say that my breaking point was like 2018. I was 47. I knew you already. I was heavier than I'd ever been, not being pregnant. I was working all the time. I was mommying hard whenever I wasn't working.
Right.
I wasn't exercising regularly. I wasn't sleeping well. Well, I wasn't sleeping, but when I did sleep, it wasn't well.
Right.
And I'm 100% convinced that I actually was in perimenopause. I just didn't know it. I didn't even really know what that was.
Right. How could we?
And it was so interesting because I actually remember the day I heard a voice inside my head, and it was my own voice, but it was very loud. And it said, Chrissie, you're getting fibromyalgia or chronic fatigue syndrome. And your 60 to 70% is going to become your new 100%.
Okay. I remember that.
Is that what you want? And I was like, who is that? Right. And it freaked me out because I'm a high producer and I like being a high producer when I have the energy for it. And that was the point I had to actually really sit down, have a long conversation with myself and decide what I wanted my personal life to look like and what I wanted it to feel like, more importantly.
Right.
Because, I ignored so much for so long, Marv, and that's the way I'm built. I think that it's probably, if you go back to the way I coped as a child, it was just like, just go do more. Don't think about that. And when you get here, you'll feel safe.
Right.
When you get here, you'll feel safe. I didn't even know I didn't feel safe, I could name it. I just knew I was very uncomfortable.
Right.
And so I just kept moving and kept doing and kept achieving. And you think that at some point it's going to be like, or you meet that person or you buy that house, or it never worked. I ignored a lot. And it wasn't just my physical stuff. I was very aware that I did not feel good inside my body, that I had pain that I was basically ignoring because I could still work and I could still be their mom.
Right.
So is it that bad? Even though it was chronic.
Right.
I have a very high tolerance for pain.
So do I.
All pain.
I feel like a lot of women do.
Dude, and it's not a compliment.
Right. I'm just
saying, like,
we just have to push on. I think we're just programmed that way.
But do we?
From our moms.
Yeah.
From our moms.
And I'm just saying, like, should we? Do we now?
I mean, obviously now I feel differently, but I think the way we were raised, I think that we were programmed to suck it up, just keep going.
Yeah.
There's nobody out there to save you, so you have to do this for yourself.
And I actually ignored my want to have a balance. I've always loved work. I wanted a balance between work and my home life. And there were some perks to having my own business because I still did all the work. That's where I didn't balance it.
Yeah.
I just moved it around. So I crammed it all in between mommying and work and just adapted. But I ignored any kind of self-nurturing, any kind of rest, anything that had to do with myself.
Yeah.
It was like, these are the important things. I would go to the 15-minute honor roll. Remember those? And then I'd just go back to work.
Yeah.
That would be my lunch. Or I'd volunteer at the jogathon, and I just rearranged my schedule so I could get it done. But it wasn't like I was working less. It was just cramming it all in.
Right.
And then I did things that I look back and you go, why did you do that? I coached their soccer teams for 3 years.
Wow.
When they were very little, I used to have Fridays off to do admin. What I do, I'd go volunteer at their kindergarten classes. Like I look back and I go, could you have gone for a walk instead?
I do know. I did the same thing. I volunteer at school too.
Yeah. And I wanted to do it. I want to be present for my children.
Right. We weren't doing anything for ourselves. We just didn't know that.
Yeah.
It was
I thought that was
okay.
for myself because I'm being present as a mom, and that's something that I wanted, not only for my kids to know I was there, but I wanted those things.
Right. Yes, of course.
And although I knew at a certain point that my marriage was not so much of a partnership, say, I chose to compensate for it. I mean, you try to address it. You talk like this, and then you try to talk like that. And then you try to use different words. And over years and years of the light doesn't come on, I basically do what I always did. I put my head down and I got it done.
Yeah.
I paid the bills. I made sure the kids were being nurtured emotionally and spiritually. I continued to evolve in my gifts and talents as a practitioner. So in those ways, I was very fulfilled. But man, was my soul tired?
Yeah.
I was so tired. That hit it for me. That was the, okay, what do you want to do? So I had to really figure out, like, I never felt feminine. I mean, I know I look like a girl, but like on the inside,
right?
I always felt a little bit like the dude, you know, because of the head of household, the working.
You were the provider.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so it just made me carry that plus all the mommy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it showed up in my body, fatigue as weight, as my face was breaking out, which before kids, I'd never had acne.
Mm-hmm.
And then with the physical pain, I didn't have any energy to exercise.
Mm-hmm.
So it was this horrible loop inside my head where it's very self-deprecating because, you know, if you have some time, you should be doing that. But my body's so exhausted.
Right. How could you? You couldn't do it.
So by 2020, I actually had a little bit of a break. I had to take a month off and just learn how to sit.
Yeah.
And that was really uncomfortable, was really nurturing, self-nurturing, because I'd ask myself what I wanted to do every day, but it was extremely uncomfortable to learn how to go inside your own self and be in charge of what you need, because no one's going to give it to you.
Yeah.
If you want to keep pushing through, everybody's going to let you.
I can totally relate to that.
You know?
Yeah. When I was younger, I'm talking my 30s and 40s, I couldn't be at home without something on, a radio, a TV, because I would start going into my thoughts and I felt so uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. And now I think, wow, I'm home, everything's off, there's no noise. I can sit and just work or just work out or my chores, and I feel so calm. Yes. I don't need anything else.
That's what I mean. And that's the nervous system.
Yeah.
So when we're not calm, we put on all the noise.
Yeah.
Because we're used to it being a little buzzy. Mm-hmm. So we match that. Like the TV's on when you're doing something, mm-hmm. or there's always constantly music playing, or if I'm not doing something, I better sweep or I better prep.
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten really good at sitting and doing nothing. And it's wonderful. It's quiet. I do a lot with walking with the dogs. That's a really good regulation for me because it's all I've actually really been able to do consistently for 5 years. My body is not ready to step it up that way.
Right.
I just kind of let my thoughts wander. So I'm not afraid to let my thoughts go to a place anymore that's uncomfortable. I'll be like, because I can look at it like it's not me. I'll be like, why is that coming up? It comes from more of a place of curiosity than fear of, I don't want to go there. I can't feel that.
Right.
And I think we've all been through that. I can't do that right now.
Yeah.
I'm already full. I used to walk into acupuncture, and I think Matt's the episode before this, who's an acupuncturist. And I'd be like, Matt, can you just make me a girl? And he would laugh. And I'm like, but I'm serious. I just need to find some sort of softness or receiving. I'm still working on it. I'm in a much better place about it. But I had to get to the point where I realized I had to be the one who allowed myself to be the girl. It wasn't something someone was going to magically make me feel.
Right.
And take everything away. So I guess the point is the body will just continue to adapt. When you're not aware, it'll continue to adapt until it can't. And when I look back, yes, it wasn't just physical. When I go back to childhood stuff, and this is where the connection is. We all have our stuff and we all had our challenges. Or when I realized it was a feeling of, wow, I never felt safe. It actually hadn't felt safe in a really long time, if ever.
And
that was huge for me when I was like, whoa, I've never felt like everything will work out. It was like, well, if I do this, I can control the outcome. I do all this will happen. And we really don't have any control anyway, because there's free will for everyone. It was this illusion of, I can keep it all together for the family, for myself. What a bunch of baloney.
Yeah.
Because what happens is we just get sick in some way, whether it's physical pain, whether it's I develop depression, whether it's my hormones go out, we just get sick. That's always what happens.
And hopefully that's the turning point where you start to kind of realize this is not just my body. This is my emotional body. I mean, that's how it was for me.
It's also my mental body.
Yeah.
When I say that my soul was tired, that was my spiritual body.
Yeah.
I couldn't connect in with my higher self in the sense of what's my highest good and the highest good of all. I had stepped out of my own body. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
And that will never happen again. But it was such a realization for me.
Get that. I get, right now I just thought of something, how you said you had stepped out of your own body. It reminds me of, I feel like we've all lost somebody. And the moment that we find out, it's like you feel like you're floating, like you're not there. And now I understand that you literally have left your body. Like your soul can't take it.
Mm-mm.
So yeah, I know.
So like she hovers, she's keeping an eye, but she can't live in that body.
Right. And
you're not listening to her.
And I had those feelings so often when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And, during some really difficult things as an adult, where I would just feel like I'm floating, like I'm not on the ground. And now I realize that was my spiritual body that was disconnecting because it was too painful.
It's too painful.
And it's just incredible when you start to be aware of all these bodies and how they connect and how they also separate.
Yes.
Yeah.
They'll separate, or one will overload to try to save you.
Yeah.
Because if that's what you want to accomplish, we will keep trying. We
Yes.
will keep doing. Let's go into what dysregulation looks like.
Okay.
It's usually tension,
Mhm.
and there's always a sense of urgency. Like, I got to check the next thing off the list. So the urgency never goes away no matter how many things you got done. It's the list that's ongoing.
Yeah. The endless list.
Yeah. It's constant output, right? Like you said, I got to have the TV on, or I got to have this, or I need to be sweeping because I can't sit still.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you can sit still, if your mind is racing and your heart is pumping, you're dysregulated. If you're
Right.
not calm and just, I call it the exhale. If you can't exhale into your body and into doing nothing, you're dysregulated. If you're holding on to emotions, whether you're aware of them or not, and you don't want to go there because you don't want to address it or you don't think you can handle it, that's dysregulation. Did you feel like you were always on or bracing in some way?
Always. I always felt like I was in fight or flight. I didn't realize it.
We
Now-
thought that was normal.
Right. Now I can look back now and I can see all of it. I can see the first physical injury to the second, to the third, to where everything just kind of gave out on me. But even so, that's the physical, and the emotional, I can trace it back to being a kid and not feeling safe at home.
Mm-hmm.
And then as an adult, being in an abusive relationship before my marriage. And I can just trace it back so far now. And I can just see how it was just, building, and then it all crumbled.
Yeah. It's like
I just
Jenga.
couldn't
You
hold
took
it
the
anymore.
one piece out.
Yeah, I just couldn't hold it anymore. And I had no idea that I was holding something, that I had all this emotional weight.
And that's the kicker, because if
Yeah.
we knew, of course we would address it.
Yeah.
And so part of the reason of doing this episode is to, one, wherever you're at, let's stop for a moment and ask yourself, what are you brushing off because you don't want to deal with it? What does your nervous system feel like right now? So I'm going to explain a little bit about how all the bodies actually work together, and how when it lands in the physical body, that's when we're in trouble.
It's a little late, but you can still fix it.
Yeah. So first it starts off with tension. You just have tension. You can't relax. It could be like that chronic upper trap tightness or low back ache. You start getting headaches.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then what happens is that tightness, it turns into a pattern. And what I tell people is like, okay, if you want to do something, your body's going to figure out how to do it. Detours around that tightness to get it done. And when it starts to detour, because it takes that detour every time, you develop a faulty movement pattern. And so the way I like to explain that is you get strong wrong.
Strong wrong.
So
I
you're
like that.
overusing something
Yeah.
because you can't use this over here.
Okay.
And just think about like space in a muscle or being able to recruit. The same thing happens with when you're carrying emotional. Everything is energy. So even though we've separated into 4 bodies, it's all energy. So emotional energy takes up space in the physical tissue. It's like having like a bubble in there, right? And it's got like anger. And the body still has to go around it. So even an emotional wound holding can cause that detour, and it causes a physical detour into the same faulty movement patterns, into that strong wrong. And when you do strong wrong for enough times, because that's just the way I do it now, you're going to have pain or injury, because the body's made to be balanced and it has the most efficient route. And so when that goes over time, it's just like anything else. It's like wearing a path, and that path is going to break down.
Right. That's a very good explanation.
Thanks. So the body speaks in whispers. I could actually hear my voice. It was almost like getting tapped on the shoulder, like, hey, but I can't do it yet.
I never heard anything.
You just crash.
I just
man.
never
You hit the
heard
wall.
anything. Yeah.
But it does. It'll speak in whispers in your own way.
Yeah.
And so we did an episode on breath. That's a big one, because if you can just notice how you're breathing and be like, oh my gosh, I'm not breathing.
Right.
Or, oh my God, like, in the dentist chair when you don't know you're really tense and you're like, okay. But then like 30 seconds later, you're like, oh, okay. Right. Because you're cleaning your teeth or something. It happens to me all the time where I'm like, oh, I didn't realize I was holding. We do that on a daily basis with things that are uncomfortable. And it doesn't have to be physically uncomfortable. It could be emotionally uncomfortable. It could be spiritually uncomfortable. It could just be mentally taxing. Like, I just don't want to deal with it. But again, it holds that tension. So unfortunately, when we get to the point where can't ignore it, it's usually pain. So that's why I say pain's like the wake-up call. So let's reframe safety. This is so interesting because like everything that's out there on social media or you're doom scrolling or whatever, what I pick up is this person safe? Right? There's all these labeling. This is what a narcissist is.
Yeah.
This is what an avoidant is. This is what anxious attachment looks like. All of these things. And I think that we need to have the deeper conversation of the real question before all of that is, am I safe within myself?
Yeah.
What does it mean to feel safe in your own body?
Yeah.
Now that you know the difference, what's the difference?
When you're talking about other people, like if you're trying to identify if somebody else is safe, I don't think about other people being safe for me anymore. If I'm having a conversation or I'm with somebody and they're saying something that's making me feel a certain kind of a discomfort, I ask myself, is that mine or is that theirs? So now I can identify, oh, that's not mine. And before I would get either insulted or annoyed, or I would think, is this person trying to insult me?
Yeah.
Just little things like that. And now I think, oh, that's not about me. That's something that they're bringing in, whether it's from childhood or something just recently happened to them. So I'm more clear when I'm having a conversation with a friend or just meeting somebody, what's mine and what's not mine.
Yeah.
And before it was all mine, it's,
they're doing something
I'm
to
being
me.
attacked. Yeah. And now, I mean, that's very rare that I feel attacked. It's very rare that I make it about me. And if it is about me, I think, oh, I need to work on that because that's mine.
Right. You're still not offended.
Yeah.
You go, oh.
Like, oh man, I'm still doing that. I got to work on that. So yeah, I just feel more comfortable with myself. Therefore, more comfortable with other people because I'm comfortable with myself.
Key.
Yeah.
And what I'm hearing is you're just not as reactive.
No.
Right. Whether it's in your head where you're like, is that person doing this or that? It doesn't start to spill out where I now start to get defensive because I'm like, what the,
Yeah.
Looking at someone all, well, who do you think you are? You just sit and you smile because you're like, oh, it's just not mine. I don't have to go through the whole loop of then questioning myself and am I not good enough? It doesn't happen.
No, it doesn't happen. And if it does, it's maybe something that I need to work on a little bit more.
Well, sure.
But I can see it.
Well, because it's not always not mine.
Right.
Some of that is, why am I feeling this way? And it goes back to whatever work. There's always going to be work.
Yes.
I am able to stay present and not leave my body and stay with someone, even if I'm uncomfortable now. Like, I'm not like, oh, I gotta go, or make it more noisy so it drowns it out. I just can be super uncomfortable.
Yeah. And
figure out what it is. What do I need to do? Or what is that uncomfortable?
What is this triggering? Why?
And when we say we do the work, that's actually what the work is. It's having a curiosity about why would that bother me?
Right.
Doing inner work is having that curiosity and wanting to not have the discomforts that we've had and not having the reaction. The more that you address and realize, oh, I can take that off now, or, oh, I know that's why. There's all these things that I do that make me feel safe now within myself. That pattern doesn't show up anymore.
I still go up and down. I'll be honest.
We all do.
But I can identify it. Whereas before,
huge.
I didn't even know it existed.
And that's huge. Are there things that you tolerate differently now?
I want to say everything. I mean, the way that I see everything has changed.
Isn't it magical?
Yeah.
Right.
Sometimes it's a little hard because I will realize, oh, this is mine. And I haven't wanted to look at that. And I'll shove it away. Like, I don't want to deal with that.
You also have to feel ready for the things that come up. You can't be like, okay, let me stop everything and just do this. It's that awareness.
Yes.
I'm going to get to that.
Yeah. I haven't worked on that enough. Let me work on that. But not today, not right now.
Yeah. The thing that I have noticed over the years is that you don't allow people to speak to you in certain manners.
Okay.
You're not like mean about it, but
Yeah.
you'll just say, don't speak to me like that. I don't deserve that.
Yeah.
Where years ago, you might have just taken it because you didn't want to get into the potential conflict of speaking up. And there's a difference between speaking your mind and speaking up. And when you speak up and you just gently say, you don't need to speak to me like that.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's the no thank yous.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that for you has become automatic now.
Yeah, that's true.
Whereas before you'd be like,
that's true
the whole time, right?
With certain people for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's just one thing that I've noticed. I don't carry people anymore. So nice. Even my children, which I felt like I had the world plus 10 tons on my coattails for many, many years. And I was just, right? Yeah. But in learning how being safe in yourself, how it shows up in your relationships and with your children and within yourself, so many things have changed for me.
Yeah, I can totally say that now. Like you said, you don't carry people anymore. I remember when somebody was opening up to me or crying and telling me about something terrible that was happening in that moment, I always felt like I wanted to take that away from them. I wanted to take their pain. I was literally doing that.
And you did.
Yes. And now I can honestly say that when I have a friend or even one of my kids going through something difficult, I know I'm not taking it in. I just feel it because I feel okay.
Yeah, it's a holding space for them.
Yes, I just know that I'm there comforting them and if I can, giving advice, but I'm not taking it into my body anymore. And I was doing that with everybody in my life, the neighbor,
I know,
my siblings.
Well, because you're so empathetic, you didn't necessarily discern. It's like you felt like you had to be there with that person in order for them to feel
their
like
pain.
You were present.
Yes,
and
feel their pain. I sure did feel their pain, and I didn't realize that was actually harming my physical body. I had zero idea, and now I'm very careful. There's certain people that I know. What is it? I'm powerless against, or I still can't keep them out.
Yeah,
there's maybe like 2 people, but yeah, everybody before they would leave, and I felt drained and depressed. Basically, everything they were holding, they brought in, they gave to me and they left feeling better.
Yes.
And I felt terrible. I felt depressed. I felt tired. I literally felt like it was happening to me.
Yeah. We've all had that. We call those energy vampires.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that they know that they're doing it, but
they don't.
If you're going to let them energetically, you know, of course they are, because they feel better whenever they're around you.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes. And then they leave and they feel great. And you're left with all of those ugly feelings. And I definitely don't do that anymore.
Yeah, no, you do not over accommodate.
Yeah.
I think that you instantly have clarity about the whole, is this mine? Is it not mine? Mm-hmm. It's much easier to be like, oh, the clarity of what's really going on, the truth of it is there for both of us.
Right.
And so because I have that clarity, I don't react to it. I don't have to say, oh, this is what it is. It's just, it is. It is. It might not be appropriate to share. That person might not understand it, or there's no reactivity.
Yeah.
I do a lot of pausing. And again, it's that, is that mine? Is it not mine? As soon as it's not mine, I don't even put the energy into it. Right. So I feel like I have so much more stored energy because I'm not wasting it on things that aren't mine or trying to fix anything. Like, what an illusion. Control it. We act away because we think we can control the outcome, especially with like our kids. And once I gave up on all of that, once gave their life back to them, they're a little bit older, and know that I am a guide and a teacher for them to learn how to self-regulate. Now that I've learned how to self-regulate, because you can't really teach your kids or tell them to do it unless you know what it feels like and that you've done it within your own self.
Right.
Because they listen to maybe 25% of what you say, but they watch and absorb 100% of what you do and how you react. So I like to pass the little pearls of wisdoms down to my kids age appropriately as they come up for me.
Right.
But I can hold space for them like you. I ask them questions from curiosity, not from telling them what to do.
Right. Because you can't.
No, you can't. That's the thing. That's the illusion. Like, you have no control.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, we're not raising kids to be regulated by us. We are teaching them how to come home to themselves, how to give them tools so that they have the check-in points. And I feel like my kids really do.
Yeah.
Now. Yeah, and they still come in and check in with me. And part of that is because I allow them to have their mistakes. I might say, hey, did you look at all the possible consequences? So we'll go over that. And then they got to choose.
And not only that, but then you're no longer tortured by what's happening in their lives.
Right.
I used to worry and again, take it in, take it on. And now my kids are a little older than yours. They're both adults in relationships living on their own. And yeah, they don't have perfect lives. They have their problems. But when one of them talks to me about it, I don't have this feeling of like, I need to save them.
Yes.
Let me fix this.
I can't watch you be unhappy.
Yes.
But we block their lessons when we do that.
Exactly. And I feel for them. I'm there to support and give advice. And when they leave, I don't stay in this panic mode. Like, what am I going to do? How do I help them? How do I fix this? I don't feel like that anymore.
And that nervous system dysregulation.
Yes. And
how do I get all anxious?
And it doesn't mean that I don't care. I adore them. They're my life, but I can't go down this path for them. I'm very aware that they have to walk this path alone. Mm-hmm. And I'll be there, like you said, to hold space. Mm-hmm. And that's something that I couldn't do 10 years ago. There was no way. If they were going through something, I was a big hot mess trying to figure out, how am I going to fix this? What am I going to do? Who should I call? And I don't feel that anymore.
Yeah, how am I going to make it better?
Right.
When I started realizing that every time that I try to fix it, I have kicked the can for a lesson that they're supposed to learn.
Exactly.
And so I'm actually stopping their growth as human beings, their ability to develop capacity for uncomfortable things. A lot of life is uncomfortable.
Yeah. They have to go through it.
They have to be able to build that capacity, hopefully in small blocks, age appropriate. Now, of course, I'm not going to let them jump off the deep end.
Of course. Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to stop them if they wanted to, but I'd at least say, well, did you look at all the things? When I allowed them to do their own work, and I walk the walk doing my own work, and with all the clients that I see, you know, helping them or being curious and asking them good questions so that they could step into their work if they wanted to.
Right.
I noticed I started seeing the same things over and over again. There was like a pattern of how people could heal. And there was a pattern of even types of emotions that we hold in different areas.
Yeah.
There was patterns. And so it's weird because I walk around all day and I actually see the pattern of that person's behavior.
Right.
Not as a prediction, but like, oh yeah, of course they're going to do that. I don't get offended because it's their pattern.
Right.
It's not mine. I started really focusing on coming back to the body and all four bodies, how they interact, and noticing what was there and learning how to stay with it, or helping someone stay with something that's really uncomfortable, that's on my table even, without pushing past it. Because some of the physical pain I started noticing wouldn't really let go, even though you did all the things, unless they address the emotion. And just saying it. It's just like homework. When I give people homework, I can tell when you don't do the one thing because you come back and it hasn't changed. Everything is practice. That's how we develop a new pattern or a new pathway. Over time, this has actually become a framework. And we've talked about it. I started seeing it in the air. It was like a 3D sort of diagram that started coming up for me. And so Marva and I had talked about it. I was like, how do I help other people get to the place that I'm at? It's not something that I created. It's like a lived framework for what's working for my kids, what worked for me, what seems to be working with my clients. Yeah. And it's all about coming back to yourself. It's coming home. Instead of looking for something outside of yourself or what you're supposed to do next, it's just coming back home.
Yeah.
There is no next. And so that's really how the body awareness method came to be. It was all the lived experiences. I just saw it filtering down into the columns in the framework. It happened because I stopped trying to control my future. I stopped trying to control what life is supposed to look like. And so I feel like I'm actually being guided much more strongly from spirit, from what my purpose is supposed to be now. I can hear it. It's clear. And it's very gut truth. I know I'm supposed to do it. It's pretty cool.
I'm glad you're doing it.
Me too.
It worked for me.
Okay, let's talk about what you actually do.
For me, it's always been exercise. I feel like I'm feeding not just my physical body, but my emotional body. I feel really good when I'm exercising, get all that.
You get the dopamine, yes, right?
Yeah. And I've always enjoyed that. So I definitely do that. We talked about acupuncture. I did acupuncture for a long time, a massage every couple of weeks for the physical body, but it also helps my emotional body. I love to ground myself to the earth.
Tell me what that is for people who don't know what grounding is.
So I basically go outside to grass, take off my shoes and my socks, and I just walk on the grass and I just ground myself to the earth where we came from, where we're going to go back to. It's just energetic. If I'm feeling heavy or something's bothering me, it almost feels like the earth is sucking away that negative energy
It does.
and just leaving me with myself again, with just me, with just the parts that I know to be true. I read about that years ago. We talked about it. I just really benefit from that. I love to ground myself.
Grounding helps bring you back into your body. You're in that floaty state where you've actually known you've stepped out.
Yeah.
If you get your physical body on earth, and it could be grass, it could be sand, it could be dirt, but not in shoes, something that's actually earth, not concrete, it will help pull you back in. And you have to be aware of that's what you really want to do too, in order to allow it to work. I've done that even here, when people just go sit at the beach.
Right.
It's the nature.
Yeah.
Taking a walk in the forest, even if you're not barefoot, like it absorbs in. There's something about the earth that does it. It's healing it because it sucks all the things that aren't yours out.
Yeah. And the more you do it and the more you really try to be aware of it, you can almost feel it and you just instantly feel better.
It's an exhale for me. You know how when you like physiologic sigh and you don't know, but if you catch yourself, that's your body regulating. So when you allow more of it, it does it more automatically because you've given it permission. So when you've given the grounding permission to work, it happens instantaneously.
Yeah.
It's great to ground. The studies show about 20 minutes, but I actually can ground myself if I need to. I do the breathing and I anchor myself to the earth. Even in shoes, it's always stronger, direct, more clear when it's skin to skin.
Yeah.
Right. But you can still do that. You can, whether it's pulling it in, it's almost like a little prayer where you ask for help.
I was about to say, for me, when I'm not grounding myself, it's through prayer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Through prayer that I connect with my higher power. And I just feel the same type of thing, not as physically, but emotionally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They're listening. And that's a great way to get rid of what's not yours. But know that there are stuff that's yours.
Yeah.
There is stuff that at some point you're going to need to look at if you want to continue to grow your capacity. And it is capacity for being uncomfortable, but it's also capacity for peace. Because feeling peace, there's nothing like it. It's quiet. It's the opposite of being dysregulated. Peace inside, I know that I don't feel a hum. It's just quiet. And a lot of people are very uncomfortable with quiet.
Yeah.
I don't even recognize that that's your opportunity, that stillness, that nothingness where there's nothing to fix. It's not necessarily a good or bad. It's just peace, neutral.
Yeah.
I crave that now more and more.
Before I met you, when all this stuff started, my husband and I tried to go to yoga as a form. Let's see if this helps my pain. Let's see. I could not do it. I could not sit in quiet. I couldn't be quiet. I couldn't quiet my mind. I'd be sitting there thinking about something else, whether it was the pain that I was still feeling or what am I doing after this? Yes. Or
you're like not in the present. You just
go,
we're in the past or we're already planning for the future.
Yeah. I couldn't be quiet. I couldn't quiet my mind. And now I can stretch for a good 30 minutes and I'm not thinking about anything. I'm just feeling my body and where there's tension. And I'm just kind of...
You're present.
Yeah.
That's what being present is.
Yeah. And I think, oh, that's new. I never felt that. Okay, let me focus on that. And that's all I'm thinking about in that moment.
Yeah. It's not 100 things going through.
No. And I could not do that before.
What works for me is walking. I have learned that the rhythmic movement of just the walking itself actually clears out all the tension.
Okay.
And there might be something that I'm ruminating about or thinking about, not necessarily negative, but I want to work out.
Yeah.
Or there might be nothing at all. And I'm just walking and like things pop into my head in a good way. Like, oh, we should do an episode on this. It allows that creative flow that sometimes for me is hard to access because it's very different being in practitioner mode, in creative mode, visionary writing. And so I have to wait for my body to, okay, I feel like this is where I'm at in order to choose what I'm going to do when I have time. It's a very strange thing because I can't go from treating patients and then come in and like whip something out.
Right.
Like, it's a very different type of energy. And so walking really helps. It opens everything up. And then I'll say, okay, where is my energy going today?
Right.
Instead of saying, oh, here's the plan for the day and then forcing it to stay in that structure. And I might have creative for 30 minutes, 60 minutes, 90 minutes, and then it's gone. And then I walk away and I'll go do something else or I'll just relax. So I find that the nothingness allows my capacity for creative work, for deep thinking. It also increases that capacity as well. It's like that pendulum that swings. We did an episode on breath awareness, and I usually can catch myself. I'm not a breath holder, but I notice it a lot in my office.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, breathe. And sometimes it's because I'm doing something that probably isn't feeling that great for that person. It's like the dentist analogy where I'm like, breathe. And they're like, oh.
I'm such a breath holder, and I don't know that I'm doing it until I know.
Yeah.
But I'm still working on that. I'm sure that comes from everything that I've been through, but I'm such a breath holder.
I allow my emotions to move through now. If I'm sad, I'm just sad. It was a couple weekends ago where I'm like, I'm sad. I don't feel like there's anything going on, but I have this immense sadness coming in. And I might look at it like, is it something? But it doesn't have to be about something. It could have just been stored from a really long time ago. And I could cry, or I get a little teary, but I just allow whatever's going to happen. Yeah. And then it always feels good after you cry, but it doesn't have to be a reason. And it's the same thing. Like sometimes I'm giddy and I've got joy, and it doesn't have to be just because one of the kids called me. I'm much better at allowing the wave of emotion to come once I've identified it's mine. I don't want anybody else's emotion, but they just come and flow. And I know that they're not getting stuck in the tissue, and they're not going to pattern around it anymore. When I have pain, I go to the physical, but I also, am I holding anything in there? Did something just happen? Because I want to catch it before it goes into an injury where, all right, now my knee's messed up too. Now I can't walk, just it's catching it. I have to have body work done because my job is so physical. The thing that works for me is I journal a lot. When I was really going through a rough time, I picked up a journal from 10 years ago. And I was bitching. I was journaling, but I was bitching. And I was bitching about the same stuff. And then for a really long period of time, I was like, F this. This isn't helping. It's just making me more resentful.
Yeah.
So I started picking like a topic to think about. So it might have been friendship, loyalty, love, partnership. And then I'd write everything that came out. It didn't need to make sense or have any follow would come out about that. That was a way for me to get my emotions out. So if I was thinking about friendship, like, what's a good friend? Well, what are my friends? And it would just free flow.
Yeah.
But then why it was coming up or whatever emotion I was having for it would also be gone. And it's so nice to do before you go to bed, because then you go to sleep at peace.
I've tried. I can't do the journaling.
You might want to try meditating just for the breathing.
Yeah.
I kind of suck at meditating. I feel like my walking's like an active meditating, because it's really about just letting things come and go without holding on to them.
I'm going to try that. I think I can.
But you could do your breathing as a meditative practice, because now you're just focusing on your breathing. And yes, things will come in and out, but then it might address you being aware when you're holding your breath or not.
Right.
Because it's just all flow, even breath. It's just energy flow. All right. So with all of this, just remember, like, didn't happen overnight. And it's not going to shift overnight either.
No.
It doesn't necessarily take the same amount of time to get back, but it does take the same path.
Yeah.
Parts of it are expedited once you nurture yourself enough. It becomes something that's necessary. For everyone listening, just remember, your body isn't working against you. It's adapting. It's holding what you couldn't. It's carrying what you didn't feel safe to process at the time. And when it finally asks you to stop, it's not failure. It's information. Because the goal isn't to control your body or to fix everything all at once. It's to become someone who feels safe enough in your own nervous system to listen to it. And when you learn how to feel safe within yourself, you stop looking for that safety everywhere else. You respond differently. You choose differently. You live differently. And that's where real change begins. Our shift has ended for today.